We hit a seven-figure business. We did 313 shoots. We both got to quit our full-time jobs within that first year. It wasn't like he had ever picked up a camera before. Like, if I can figure this out, like, literally anyone can.
You've scaled your real estate media business faster than pretty much anyone else I know.
There's something about AI that people just are hesitant. It's just not true.
Doesn't that defeat the purpose of AI photo editing to save money if you have to hire a VA to manage it?
It's all flash photography, and then I came in there and I'm running them through AutoHDR.
Classic.
We run everything through AutoHDR now.
At this point, you pretty much have it on autopilot. Your systems are dialed in to the point where you don't really need to do anything.
I now trust it a lot more than I trust a human editor. And so that, I think, is my favorite thing about switching to AutoHDR.
Sweet. Let's jump right in. Cool. I'm excited to talk to you. We got to talk at Rep. We met there, and then we got to talk at the Spiro conference a couple weeks ago. And the one thing that stands out about you is your ambition, how fast you have become as successful as you are in your real estate media business, and how inspiring you are to others because you have a mindset that is just so big. You don't have limiting beliefs. You're focusing on all the right things. And yeah, you're a huge inspiration to everyone. So I'm excited to be able to dive into how you use AutoHDR, but also just give some other people a few nuggets that'll hopefully help them leapfrog where they're at in their business.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it seems like you've scaled your real estate media business faster than pretty much anyone else I know. At this point, you pretty much have it on autopilot. Your systems are dialed in to the point where you don't really need to do anything. You're saying you went to Italy, you took a few months of vacations last year, because your team basically knows what to do and they have the power to do it, or it's automated. So you're generous enough with your to give us an hour of your time, share some of the secrets, and there's a lot that we can learn from you. So yeah, specifically first, thank you, but give us a quick rundown. How long have you been in business? You don't need to share financials. You can if you want, or you can share like how many shoots per month you're doing, but give us a sense of like where you're at and how long it took.
Great. We're down in Southwest Florida. My husband and I just decided to start a media business. It wasn't like he had ever picked up a camera before. We were just like, we should do this. This looks great. And so we did that about September of 2022. So we decided to start the business. The hurricane of the century rolled through. That put us on delay, but we absolutely kept going. It was Hurricane Ian. And so now we're probably about 3.5 years old. And we both got to quit our full-time jobs within that first year. We've got a team of 8 photographers now. We, in the calendar year for the first time officially in 2025, we hit a seven-figure business, and we had a
Let's
record month.
go.
Yeah, we had a record month in January. We did 313 shoots and
Wow.
hit that 150K mark that I had been trying to hit. So
That's incredible. Yeah, 7 figures in a few years is super impressive. So props to you. You're doing something right. So you're telling me like, hey, we're using AutoHDR. It's been good for us, but we have a lot of people that come to us and ask us for advice. It seems complicated. So can you just give a quick rundown? Like break it down easily. If someone wants to plug in AutoHDR for AI photo editing, they want to get their entire editing and QC and delivery process running without them so they can go work on other things or just be hands off in their business. What do they need to do step by step?
let go. need to let go. So I share a lot online. Like I share a lot on our close friends circle, and I get a lot of questions, and I talk a lot about how we use AutoHDR. We switched like it's
March.
like
I was looking at our old emails. March when we
yeah,
first launched, when the product was not that good.
it did. It needed love back then. I'm
It
not
needed
gonna
love,
lie,
yeah.
but yeah, I was gonna say it's been about a year since we've been doing it,
Yeah.
and we run everything through AutoHDR now. And the biggest things I get is people just I don't know. I feel like there's something about AI that people just are hesitant, or they just kind of want to be like, no, it's not gonna work. My clients aren't gonna like it. It's not as good as it could be. And as a human editor, it's just not true. And I feel like I think one of the reasons that we like a value at our business is like commitment to innovation. Like I always do want to be understanding how can we do things better, faster, stronger, more efficiently. And I feel like that's been part of our edge. And I'm like, we have to do like if we can have our video photo stuff automated,
Hmm.
that would be great because that's going to give us so much time back. And I felt that we are in more control. Like I don't have to worry about the X factor of working with a team
Right.
in India that I don't know, that's not actually on my team.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what does that actually look like? Like what buttons do you press? Where do you go? You get the photos back. What happens then? Walk us
Yeah.
through the tangibles of the workflow.
All right. I want to
Who
walk through the
does
work
it? Yeah.
because I feel like this is a question we get all the time.
Yeah.
People understand it, right? They get it, but they don't understand how it actually like fits into their workflow.
Mhm.
So this is how it works for us. We're on Spiro. We've got Dropbox automated. We've got the AutoHDR integration with Spiro. And so our photographers, they're out there, they're shooting, they hit complete, the Dropbox link gets created.
Mhm.
They go home, they just offload all of their photos. We don't count photos. We do pricing by square footage. I'm not worried about the number of photos, just offload them.
Mhm.
Auto HDR goes and edits them. So they're edited and they flow back into our Dropbox. They're completed.
Mhm.
What our team does is we work with a lot of VAs on our team. We have a VA that logs in around, I want to say 8 or 9 p.m. EST. We've got 8 photographers on our team. And what that initial job of that VA is to do is make sure, did they offload everything? Like if there was aerial photos, did they remember to offload aerial photos? And really making sure that there is that 30-minute window that like the photographer needs to upload everything by, or else Auto HDR will start editing
Mhm.
if it hasn't seen any activity for 30 minutes,
Mhm.
which was enough. It was really just a process that we had to make sure our photographers understood.
Mhm.
Not just like, hey guys, upload within 30 minutes, but we're telling them the why behind it.
Mhm.
And we let them know how that affects our VAs
Yep.
if they don't do it in time.
Yeah.
So as soon as we explained that, it really isn't quite a problem. But
Mhm.
that first VA just logs in just to make sure that everything's offloaded. They're also checking for like, did we submit the Kubi Casa? Did we submit the Zillow tour?
Mhm.
Things like that.
Right.
And they're catching those photographers that maybe didn't submit something or forgot the aerial photos
Yep.
or whatever it is. They're catching them before they go to bed.
Mhm.
So, and then she gets to QCing because the photos are edited so fast.
Right.
So they're mostly
Can
edited when
can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Do you have some shared communication? Like, is your whole team in Slack where you have your VAs and all your photographers? And if someone misses an upload, the VA is hitting them up there? How does that work?
That's a good question. I don't know how anyone's living without Slack. So we use Slack. We are
Amen. Yeah.
literally still on the free version. Like I should be paying for it at this point, but my entire team is on the free version. And what we have is we have um photographer chat. So like the Julian chat, the
Yeah.
Justin chat, the
Yep.
Faith chat.
Yep.
And in those chats is everybody that needs to be in there, our VAs, our video editors, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
I only want communication happening in that chat. I don't want DMs because
Yeah.
then not everybody's in the loop.
Yep. Missing visibility. 100%. Yeah.
So if my VA is noticing that someone didn't upload something, she's pinging them in their chat. Everyone's seeing that, and then we're
Yeah.
handling it from there.
Cool. That makes
Slack is
sense.
the only thing we use.
Yep.
Slack.
Yeah. Same here.
So that's where all that communication goes down. And then our photo editors get to not editing, they're not photo editors, our VAs get to quality checking the photos from Auto HDR. So mostly what that looks like is, we are really good about building out our client preferences in the Spiro notes.
Mhm.
So we've got like a big team that we work with. They want a different color beacon than the rest of our clients or something like that. So they're getting those things done. They're using Auto HDR for a lot of that.
Mm.
So if a client's picky about grass, they're greening the grass in there. We're also processing all of our virtual twilights. So my VA will go to the order. She'll see, oh, this included 2 virtual twilights. She's going and she's making sure that that happens in Auto HDR. But with the like wizardry that it does of like removing the like camera and stuff already, it really is just making sure that there's any unique preferences or any like
Mhm.
removals that were
Right.
out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
We're checking those.
For those
And
unique preferences, how do you guys handle that?
So we handle those by we use the Spiro notes heavily. So in Spiro, you can go to an agent's account, and I love 2 things about this. One, you can put photographer notes. So I can put notes that the photographer will see when they're walking into that
Yeah.
front
Yep.
door to shoot.
So good.
So certain clients have preferences that need the photographers need to know on site.
Mhm.
And then there's a separate section for editor notes or task notes. These are where it says like, hey, we don't do TV screens anymore. I just
Right.
think it distracts. But certain clients are married to it. So we'll see that they need the TV replacements. We do those in auto HDR. They want a certain color. Some agents, really particular about certain things. And, I only want a pink sky for twilights or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
So all of that is in Spiro. It makes it really, really easy
Yeah.
for my team to know exactly what that particular client may need.
Right.
And if they're a high touch client is what,
Right.
or a VIP client is what
And
we'll
so are
call them.
your VAs at this point? Obviously, you've been with Auto HDR since we had no like editing options in our gallery, pretty much
Yeah.
nothing at all. Now we have the grass, we have the twilights, and we even have AI re-edit where you can type in the edit request that you want and get it back. So, for example, if it's an image on the TV screen, turning the sky from your twilight to pink instead of purple, any of these particular things you can do. Are they using those tools, or for these little one-off requests, what do you do for those edge cases?
So anything we can do in auto HDR, we're doing in auto HDR. And I was just talking with my team the other day, and I think there's a couple things that they're not fully taking advantage of.
Mm,
And that's I think that is one, me not, saying, hey, we need to take advantage of this. Although there's someone on my team who's in charge of that. He's the one that set up Auto HDR in the
mhm,
first place, like with me.
right.
So he does a good job at that. We're in the very thick of our busy season. I think there's a couple things that have recently rolled out. So I think that's an area for improvement. Like we could really be like
It's also just very new.
catching all of the newest things. I think it's a little new. But so when we do need to do something, they are downloading the photo, like something extra,
Hmm.
and they're gonna pop it into Lightroom or Photoshop,
Hmm. Cool.
and they're gonna handle it from there.
Yeah.
But most everything really can be done in Auto HDR. It's mostly just those one-off things that are out of the ordinary
Yeah,
that a client is requesting.
totally. And I think that's one of our main goals that we talk about with our dev team is like, what are what are any reasons right now that people have to leave the platform, and how can we completely remove those so that anything you're always going to have to do post processing, whether it's like twilights, grass, removals, client requests, there's always going to be revisions from people with different tastes. How do we bake all of that into the platform so they can do those changes and then press a button and sync it back to their delivery platform? So, like for
Yes.
example, for Spiro, we just added the button where you can direct sync back to Spiro, so you never upload or download anything. You do it, use AI to do it, and it syncs back. So yeah, that is
Yeah, I
the
love that. Like the goal is to not leave. Can you do lot lines in Auto HDR?
you can,
I, sh-
yeah,
I should know. Okay.
you can now.
I I think that that's an example of something that my team's been so busy that they like just are doing that still
Yeah,
outside, and they need to be doing that in auto
yeah, it's
HDR.
also just new. Like we are constantly adding new things and making improvements. So going even more granular, how do your VAs know what to do?
Yeah. So they know what to do because we extensively talk about it. We make standard operating procedures on, what we expect to have removed from our photos or done with our photos. Like for example, those key items are obviously reflections, but sign removals. I believe Auto HDR takes care of that as well. Or they can, catch it and they do that in Auto HDR. For us, our photographers should be removing any exterior trash cans.
Hmm.
If they didn't, we want those removed.
Hmm.
And then they're just looking for just making sure there's consistency, which is the number one thing that I love about Auto HDR. Because when we were working with human editors, there is human error.
Right,
And that error mostly came from inconsistencies of like the counter was like white in this angle, but it's yellow in the next angle. And that was a human like masking error or
right.
something. We don't deal with that anymore in Auto HDR. And I think that's what my clients get most upset about
Hmm.
is when they feel it's so obvious. And
Right.
so that I think is my favorite thing about switching to Auto HDR. Actually, I get why people don't trust it as much, but once you're in it and you see it, I now trust it a lot more than I trust a human editor, which I kind of didn't expect to arrive there, but
Yeah,
I
it's cool to see because it kind of makes sense. The training process is we find the best editors we possibly can. We extensively look at every single photo to make sure that they are perfect. And then we train the model on that. And then the model, the weights of the model, like its brain, doesn't change. It's the same on every photo. So it's going to be consistent into perpetuity on that perfect data set. Whereas a human has a good day or a bad day, or maybe it's a
Right.
manager with a different employee and they switch out. So we can basically get the best style or whatever style we want and train on, and then automate that forever, which is the
Yeah.
beauty of it. Um,
Yes. The consistency there is absolutely key. So and then I check in with the team. So for example, we'll say, hey, Loom your process, and that's where we're looking for. Okay,
mhm,
how can we make it more efficient? What are they maybe looking at that I didn't realize they were looking at?
right.
You do need to check in with your VAs on that, because sometimes they were like going a little overboard, right? I'm like, we don't need to fix that. Like,
Yeah,
stop. Stop
totally.
that. Stop
Totally.
that right.
Yeah. And you said Loom your process. So, like, for people who don't know what Loom is, when you're making standard operating procedures or showing how you're doing something, it's an awesome website you can use. The first recordings are free. It records you, screen records, it'll transcribe it, give a step-by-step process, and even make that operating procedure for you. So, if you don't have a VA yet and you're going through your process, you're trying to make the SOP Colleen's talking about, you can just record yourself doing it, say out loud what you're doing, and it'll make that document that then a VA can actually follow. Um, so some people don't have VAs yet, which is crazy to me.
Wild,
But
wild time.
we talk to a lot of people who go, getting a virtual assistant has a cost associated with them as well. So doesn't that defeat the purpose of AI photo editing to save money if you have to hire a VA to manage it?
That doesn't make sense to me, because who was managing your deliveries when you were paying for a human editor? And if it's you, that's a problem, because there's so many more leverage things that you should be doing in your business. So one, my VAs loved me when we switched to Auto HDR, because they can actually, like the ones that are truly quality checking and making sure everything's offloaded and uploaded and things like that, they now get to work during the day,
Right.
because they're not waiting for the human editor to edit during the day there and then, deliver the next day.
Right.
So my VAs love it. And I always needed somebody that was doing that quality checking, that was managing the relationship that we had with our human photo editors is a full-time job. Like,
Yeah.
that's what my VAs were doing
Right.
before they're doing now. So we had to switch a little bit. Involved in that switch was, one, they got better hours. They loved that. Two, I did have to train them a little bit more on looking at different things, because
Yeah.
now they really are, responsible for the photos. They're not just
Yeah.
shipping it back to the editors and saying, hey, do this and do that.
Right.
But Auto HDR has made it really, really easy. So our photos are cheaper than they were with the human editor, and I was still paying for VAs. So Auto HDR has saved us significantly. And I had to train my VAs to do some of that. But I think that if I was starting all over again, I would probably hire a QC VA that just already had that expertise in photos and things like that.
Right.
Um,
Like a past photo editor or something,
Fast photo editor,
ideally.
because I think some of them are out of a job. So I feel like that'd be a good gig
Right.
for them.
But okay, so VA sounds awesome. How do you find them? Where do you find these people to help?
This is what we do to find our VAs. We create a job posting. We put that job posting on onlinejobs.ph. And we also will sometimes find VA Facebook groups, and we'll post that job
Mm,
posting in there as well.
mhm,
And online jobs PH, I do feel like we used to get a lot more applicants than we currently do.
mhm.
I don't know if you have any insight on that. I know there's also Upwork, but a big thing that we're doing is that job application. The only thing I care about is that they send me a video answering the 3 questions I asked them to answer.
Yeah.
I want to know that they're not mass applying. I want to know that they took time out of their day to specifically apply to this exact job position. I want them to say Three Palms Media in that video. That gives me a really good indication of, one, that they want the job, two, how they communicate, what their presence is. Could they figure out how to create a video? Are they, do they have experience in that area? And they send those videos, and then I'll go and complete final interviews from there. So it weeds out a lot of that, and it decreases my time
Yeah.
spent. I don't have to hop on a bunch of Calendly
Yeah.
calls a day.
100%. So smart. Doing the video, make people do a video. It just shows if they're willing to take 5 minutes out of their day to actually show they care and not be bulk applying. And guys, anyone watching this, if you do need a VA that's trained on Auto HDR, we work with this massive team of VAs overseas. They're $3 an hour. We use them a lot for our in-house quality control for Auto HDR. Every photo that we edit gets looked at by a person, believe it or not. And you can hire them right now. They're pre-trained. It's not associated with Auto HDR. We don't make money from it. But it's someone that we trust a lot. And if you do need people who can do quality control, I will put a link in the description of this video that we're putting on YouTube. Or
Cool.
if you want to find them yourself, I have made a video on this, our recruiting process, how we find people on Upwork, but it pretty much mirrors exactly what Colleen said, where we put out a job posting. Having a video is an awesome idea. And then from there, what we usually do to see who is good is we do a test project. And then we just literally give them the work that they would actually do, see if they can do it, and what their rate of learning is. And whoever's the most diligent, high agency, and even if they don't nail it right away, whoever is the highest rate of learning and progression, right? That's
Mm.
what we really care about. Then we'll hire them. So yeah,
I love that. I didn't know that you had that.
yeah,
That's good to
even
know.
even for like at AutoHDR, every developer we hire, every single person who joins the company does a test project. And until they've successfully done the job they will actually be doing, they do not get a job offer. So they work as a contractor first. It avoids a lot of bad hires.
No, I love that, and I also love that you have a resource for people that are trained on VAs that are trained on Auto HDR for people to tap into. I think that's great. I didn't know that.
100%. Yeah. So someone else will manage them. I think we've helped like 30 companies at this point. And yeah, we work with like 6 VAs from their team looking at all of our photos all day long. So they're
Mm.
good and we trust them. Um, Now, real quick on the topic of AI, a couple more questions.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who they want to grow their business, they want to strive towards financial freedom, quit their job, but they're very insistent that AI can never edit the photos as good as they would, or their specific current human editor, and it's kind of throttling them actually getting their time back or growing?
One, I would ask them if they actually know that to be true or if they just feel that that's true. So have you done testing? And also, I think you got to be careful too because everything that we do in our business, it's from my client's perspective.
Mhm.
Because how I feel about something doesn't really matter if my client doesn't feel that same way.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
as photographers, oftentimes we know what to look for. Our eyes much sharper than our clients.
Yeah.
Our clients are trying to sell houses. They know they need great media.
Right.
They don't need they're not looking at them like us.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that way about AI or do your clients feel that way about AI? Because
Yeah.
the biggest thing people I talk to say, well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose clients. Well, try it because you can literally revert back if you need to.
Hmm.
You know, like this is not a permanent change.
Hmm.
So, test it. What we started doing back when honestly it was not nearly as good as it is now. So was we just attached it to our lowest tier offer and in Spiro with the task. So we were using Auto HDR for our photos only package
Yep.
for us to kind of ease into it
Yeah.
because we were
Smart.
nervous at that point and we eased into it and we're like literally not a single client said anything and I was almost upset because I did hold on for so long
Right.
thinking that a client would say something and not a single one did. And so that was a win. It was just a little
Right.
bit of a, I was like, oh, I was wrong.
Oh
But I'm
yeah.
happy I was wrong.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
interesting.
man. It's
People,
only gonna get better. It's only gonna get better.
yeah. I think like you can literally just deliver the both photos too and say like, hey, which one do you like better? Or just try delivering it to the client. Worst case, have your human edit as backup too and just see if your client says anything because they're the dictator of the quality.
Yeah.
I've
Abs-
there's one guy who's like, no, my clients will never go for this. And I was like, I'll make a bet with you. Go and post these shoots side by side on Facebook. Ask them to vote. And it was like 50-50 split would mean it's indistinguishable. And it was like 99% auto HDR. And it's like, shit, could have been using it this whole time.
That's funny. See, I'm not giving my clients a choice. Like,
Yeah.
they don't need to know. They don't need to know how
Right.
it's made. Like, it's not like,
Yeah.
not that they can't know because I think it's cool, but
Mhm.
yeah, I would just try it. Like, you're not going to lose your mind over this. Just try it because I think they like it and they're going to like how quickly you can get it back. If you ever have clients that want to do same day, you can do that now without like sweating.
Right. Now, for the people who decide to go or stay the human route long term or as they're growing their business, what kind of friction do you expect that they'll encounter? What were you guys starting to run into as you were scaling like last February?
Just involved a lot of extra communication when we were doing the volume that we're doing and you're communicating with the editors and wondering where this job is and like managing revisions, with
Mhm.
them because
Right.
usually from human error or like, hey, this client wanted this edited out, you missed it in the notes. Like it started to really delay our process because
Right.
I think it is challenging, especially when you get bigger. It's challenging to find a rock star photo editing team that you can outsource to that's really going
Yes.
to have that attention to detail. Like it started to become a really big problem for us and it was affecting our turnaround time.
Hmm.
Uh, and now we have everything in house. It's all in our control.
Right.
Like
Yeah, it's like
to
your
do.
in-house editor. We had the same thing where I had an awesome at my real estate photography business. I had this editor who would output the most beautiful photos, incredible. But as we started to grow, they literally couldn't do more than 100 every day, and they had no ambition to hire or do anything. And it was like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Well, if you're a photo 101, it's going to be 48-hour turnaround, I guess, because they're just pretty stringent on that. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's all super valuable. I want to do a quick rapid fire, kind of unrelated, just business related tips for anyone watching because you kind of have mastered this game, I feel like. So, um, I would usually ask like, what do you think has been the biggest, most influential factor in your success? I have a hunch from talking to you, it's more so your mindset than anything else, where you don't have limiting beliefs. There's a lot of people who are ambitious, but you truly, it seems like that you can do anything that you want, that anything's possible. And I've seen you instill that mindset in other people. Um, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like that has allowed you to scale very quick. And what I'm curious is that something you're born with? Is that a muscle that you learn? That's something I care a lot about. I'm not born with that at all. How do you practice that and actually actively work on and achieve that? I like at the Spiro conference, there's people who are super ambitious. They go, they're excited to build their business, and um, it just always comes back to these limiting beliefs capping them. Where I see them every few months, and it's just like they're shooting themselves in the foot. So how can people actually be deliberate about that?
It's definitely something that you learn. You're not just like born with that. I don't believe. Like I think that you always need to work on yourself. Like nobody's perfect. So like developing those skills to deeper understand yourself and those limiting beliefs is only going to spring you forward. I think that, I would argue that somebody not wanting to switch to something like AI for photo editing or whatever else, that's a mindset thing. That's really not anything else. It's because it comes from this fear that you're not good enough, this fear that people are going to leave you, things like that. I think that's really what it is. And so essentially, you're just holding your business back from growing even further. So that's something we're really intentional about is every time like I feel myself resisting something or I'm uncomfortable, I know that like that's just probably my old program holding me back
Mm,
out of fear. Like I'm coming from a lack mindset instead of an abundant one. Like a lack mindset would be we can't change any of our prices. Our clients won't like us anymore if we change our prices. Our clients won't like us anymore if we have this or
right,
we have that. That's more so how you feel about you in your life and yourself from your own experiences. And that's a coming from a place of lack. Like
right.
that's you need to lead with faith. You need to lead with anticipation. You need to lead with abundance because that's going to be more attractive. I think you'll attract better employees. If you have better employees, you're going to attract obviously more, you're going to attract more clients because your clients are going to be happy, they're going to refer you. Like it all starts with like your culture and your tone. There's no way people are hiring us for our photos. I'm sorry, that's not why people are hiring Three Palms Media. People are hiring Three Palms Media because they have faith in us. They like our culture, they like how we show up online, they like how we show up on site. They like the client service that we give them. They just expect that the photos are going to be good enough. And if they have a good experience with us on site, they will like the photos.
Hmm.
If they have a bad experience with us on site, those same photos, they will find reason not to like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So that, I think that you need to like you are what you attract. So being open and abundant and not that lack mindset and really challenging yourself and catching yourself. You have to know what those triggers are for you. So when they come up, you can be a little easy on yourself. You can say, "Oh, I know this is where this is coming from, but I'm going to challenge myself here and I'm going to take a little bold step in the other direction
Hmm.
instead of kind of holding myself. Because once you take those little steps, once you send out a photo delivery with auto HDR for the first time and you don't get negative feedback, you start to believe it a little bit more. So you have to take these small little actions, and that's what's going to kind of rewire that.
Hmm.
You know, if you're scared to go out and talk to agents in person, just
Hmm.
do it once. Just do it once. Find a small gathering, do it once. Have your goal to be making a connection with one person past hello.
What like
And you'll start.
yeah.
Start.
What, because from my understanding, you were working a normal job before Three Palms, and
Yeah.
then you've gone and built this incredible business. What made you think that you could do it or take that step after doing the same thing your whole life, and then now you went and became an entrepreneur? Was there some belief that you shattered? Was there something that made you know it? What was the trigger for that?
Yeah, I think it was I saw other people doing it,
Hmm.
and I started listening to a lot of podcasts, nothing to do with real estate media. And it's about like limiting beliefs and how you're not special. Like if somebody else can do it, you can do it too. It's yourself holding you back. It's yourself that you're tied to. So when I saw ads about starting a real estate media business, I took that, moment of bravery, and chose to believe what these people were telling me on this podcast. And that was, oh, well, if Eli Jones can do it, I can do it. If these people in Eli Jones' world can do it, that's who I learned from. Um, I can do it. So that evidence that other people were doing it, I was like, there's no way that we can't either.
Yeah.
And it was also us just like, I was like, we have to go all in. Like, we are all in. We're absolutely going to do this. So, it was just that leap of faith and evidence. I think community is the most important thing that you could have in your life and in your business. Like you need people around you that are doing that thing or telling you that you can do that thing or that are proof, like evidence that
Hmm.
like you can do it too. Because
Hmm.
if they can do it, I can do it. Why not?
Yeah, totally. And one thing you said is like, there's a lot of successful people that are not necessarily more smart than you, right? And you can see that. You're like, I can do that as well. But also, you got to be humble and know, like, I'm not the only person who can do what I'm doing. For example, a
Yeah.
lot of people get into this business and maybe they get stuck in the 10 to 20K a month range, the range where they're doing every shoot themselves. And they need to hire someone for either virtual assistants as a starting point or editing and then shooting and then maybe administrative to be able to grow and get leverage so that they can work on growth and getting to the next level. But a lot of people, the client, a fire happens, client request happens, they get pulled back into, okay, I got to be the one to solve it. And I've been guilty of that. I was 100% guilty of that. Even when we hit our first 100K month, I was sitting, getting involved, overseeing all the texts, diving in way too deep. And it's because I was like, things are going to fall apart if it's not me involved. And it was not until I got so busy with Auto HDR and the opportunity here that I physically did not have time nor care about what was melting in the real estate media business that I completely let go. And then I was gone for a year to the point where literally one of our clients called and was like, "Are you in rehab? Where have you been?" I fell off the face of the earth. And I think we lost like two clients. Like nothing bad happened because the person who was running it had the resources to be successful. And so when I talked to you, something really cool is like before we started recording, you're like, yeah, I don't even know how to fly the drone. You don't even know how to fly the drone. You don't even, a lot of things are abstracted. And so, like, what is it that it's enabled you to have other people who can put out fires? Because that is the biggest point of contention that I see when I go to all these conferences, ambitious people who keep thinking that only they can do it themselves.
Yes. I'm still a little guilty of that, right? I think that that's, part of it, but the
Now,
more I've let go, the more I've seen the light. And when you
yeah.
start to see the light, like you realize that it's possible. And I think one thing for me is I had this thing at the beginning of my business where I did feel like we could do it all and that we wouldn't make any mistakes. We're never going to lose a client.
Mm,
That belief is what kind of kept me tied into all of those things.
hmm.
And
Right.
then I started to really understand there's no way I can build the life or the business that I want without making mistakes.
Mm,
And those mistakes are actually really happening for me. They're teaching me something.
mm,
And so once I started looking at those mistakes from that lens, I also started teaching that to my team and letting my team know that it's okay to make mistakes. It's just how we come back from them. And me not looking at it as a failure and more so looking at it as an opportunity for me as a leader to be like, oh, this is how you do it. Or maybe we need to shift that person to here because this other person's better at that. And you're not going to get it perfect, just like anything else. So I think
right.
once I became okay with that, and once I understood that that's actually what I need to do in order to get the life that I wanted, which is the reason that I started this business, anyways,
Hmm.
I started relaxing a little bit more and not taking my business so personally, not tying my entire self worth to my revenue
Hmm.
or to the number of shoots that we're doing. I think was really, really helpful for us. And you do start to see that light. Like we went on that month long vacation to Italy and we didn't check in with the team and I deleted Slack from my phone. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
It went great,
It's fine.
you know, and that gave me more confidence.
Yeah.
One of my early coaches had told me the best thing you could do is go on vacation and
Right.
just see what breaks.
See what breaks. Yeah. And then come back to it. Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. And that's, I always like to do everything perfectly. And I've really figured out over the last year, like, if I can get someone doing it 80% as good, then I can have, if I can get one person doing it 80% as good, we can have 10 people doing it 80% as good, which frees up everything that I have to do so I can go do the highest leverage things, which is truly beautiful. And like to expect that someone's going to get it 100% or think the same way that you think is a complete fallacy. And so if you can strive to get them, you know, pretty much there and then have their own unique specialties, that is a beautiful thing. And then you can abstract away all that work. There are things in Luxury Vision, my real estate photography business, and in AutoHDR that I spend hours or days or even months, way too much time on. Where if I had delegated to someone else sooner that is competent or ideally smarter than me, I would have had those months of time back to have been getting a head start on other things that are more important instead of like having a specialist do it. Um, and it's like you just get so caught up because you think, I got to do this, I got to do this. But actually, you could totally have someone managing it in the background for you, as long as like you're not capital constrained, where you can get your time back to be doing things that are building the foundation for growing your business. And it's so important not to get caught up in that. You're always naturally going to get kind of pulled back into it. But what I want to ask, because there'll probably be some people watching this who are kind of just getting started.
Yeah.
If you are getting started, what is the number one highest leverage thing that you can be doing? What is the number one needle mover when you're starting your business, building it, where you shouldn't get distracted in other things, you should ignore other things and be focusing on one thing that's actually going to drive you to the path of success, which you have had in the shortest amount of time. You know, hopefully we can help people leapfrog some mistakes and some time of struggling.
I mean, nothing else matters besides getting clients. Because if you have no clients, you have no business. You have no money to outsource and free up your time. So the only thing you should be concerned about is getting clients.
Mhm.
That's where we really put a lot of our time. And I think we did that in a couple ways. One, we wanted to build a personal brand on social media. We talk about us, our why. They're seeing the behind the scenes of me growing a team. I'm talking about business owners. I mean, we're working with a
Yeah.
bunch of business
Yeah.
owners, real estate
Super
agents, are a
genuine.
bunch of business owners. So I get that all the time. People are like, oh my God, I love you. I'm like, oh, have we met? They're like, no, but I follow you online. So that was a big one because we are a media company and we need to have a presence. So when you're doing that work to DM people or cold call people, they need to come and get some personality because that's what's going to make that you want people to fall in love with your culture and your business. That's what's going to make them extra sticky, in my opinion. And then we got out and about. Like people are like, "We see you guys everywhere." I'm
Hmm.
like, I know,
Yeah.
I know, I'm exhausted. Like
Intentional.
I am everywhere. But going to open houses, going into brokerages, walking into doing brokerage meetings, presentations, there's a million things that realtors are doing. Like go sponsor them by like making a video on your iPhone,
Yeah.
of
Right.
that event. So it was about building relationships, communication. We're in the business of communication. We are not in the photography business. We're not in the real estate media business. That is our
Hmm.
product. We're in the business of clients. We're in the business
Totally.
of customer service. We're in the business of communication, how well we can communicate and how much of an experience you can create for that client. That is the number one thing that you need to be focused on. Literally the rest will follow.
100%. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, because we hear this with AI, my photos are going to look the same as everyone else's. What's going to differentiate me? Like, the biggest businesses are differentiated based on customer service and the relationships that they have with their clients. Todd from Spiro, he will tell you that his photos, before using us were not that great. He was working with a very cheap editor. They had this like muddy feel. They're like not that great. And they're the biggest real estate media company, like one of the biggest that I know. And it's because they
Yeah.
have an awesome team that's great to work with, and they have the best customer service because they got the best systems. And they take good care of their clients and have relationships, which like just speaks volumes. So getting clients, yeah, extremely important. It's the lifeblood of the business. What are the things that you spend a lot of time doing that you would have either just not done at all or automated or just hired someone else to do sooner?
Just getting caught up worrying that we weren't good enough creatively because we're not really creatives. We didn't start this because we loved photography.
Right.
Like we started this because we wanted to do a business. And so I think that was an insecurity of ours. And so we were spending too much time like changing the yellow on the photos, things like that. Or like, we made a mistake our first hire. We wanted to hire someone really creative. Well, he wasn't reliable, wouldn't charge us stuff. Like he wasn't actually what the business needed.
Right.
Yeah, he made some banger videos, but nobody cared when he wasn't on time.
Right.
Nobody cared when he couldn't offload and we couldn't meet the deadlines.
Mm.
So just focusing on those things that aren't what actually matters, which is literally your client experience, your client communication. I cried for like days making a website. Like, yes, like I think that you need some sort of website or online presence, obviously,
Yeah.
but like why did I spend so much time on those things? I think that was just getting caught up in the comparison game. And really then I realized that's not why clients are sticking with us. That's not why clients are moving from other companies to
Right.
us. It's
Right.
not because of our website or because the yellow is removed from the lights.
Yeah.
It is because of the relationships that we're creating. So that's the
Right.
only thing that matters.
Yeah.
The rest of it,
Kevin from
fine.
Nashville Media, I think he grew. I don't know what the exact revenue number was, but he didn't have a website. He just only had Instagram for like the longest time. I don't even know if he does now. Probably.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I've just only done Instagram. He's crushing it. And that was his portfolio. Um, and I know, so we're running short on time here. So that's all super helpful. I wish I had that when I was getting started. So thank you for that. And then, if I may, for anyone else watching, like what I have noticed from talking to hundreds of the most successful real estate media business owners in the country, one other trait is that the time to action is extremely small. So that's evidence with you guys. Like, you're saying you were a little hesitant to switch to AI. You're actually one of the first adopters, especially on an enterprise level, pretty much right away. We launched with Eli in March. You guys adopted it in March. That's pretty quick. And so the time to action of the people who are growing the fastest is extremely compressed to the degree where some of the people with the biggest businesses, I'll be talking to them, they get an idea and immediately they're on Slack or they make the phone call right away. It's not, hey, I'm going to add it to my to-do list and do it tomorrow. Immediately they're taking action. And what they recognize is that you have reversible decisions and you have the irreversible decisions. And if it's reversible, you can take that action. If it was good for your business, awesome. You've taken action immediately. You've made your business better. And if it was a bad idea, reverse it. And if it's irreversible, maybe you're a little bit more deliberate, but there's not a lot of those in the industry that we're in. Um,
Mhm.
and so if anyone watching is interested in getting set up, we have an awesome team on AutoHDR.com. You can book a demo. They'll walk you through. They will literally set up the automation for you on Spiro or whatever scheduling software you use. We have a big team of awesome people who are photographers too, so we'd be happy to help you get set up. But yeah, Colleen,
I,
thank you so much for your time.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I would just encourage people to just try it. Make sure you're keeping up. You're trying new things, like, or else you're going to get left behind. And the only reason you're getting left behind is because of how you think or feel it's going to be,
Right.
but you don't know. So just
Yeah.
go out, try it, try new things.
Clients. See what they
And
say. Let them be the judge.
yeah, let the clients be the judge, man. The clients aren't looking that hard. Maybe you have one client that is okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, set up something different for them or move on without them. Like
Right.
it's impossible to grow a business without losing clients.
True that. 100%. Cool. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Matt. You guys are awesome. We appreciate all your help and thanks for being a game changer for our business.